Hi everyone, John here from Courthouse Technologies once again, and today I'd like to discuss with you calculating mileage for jury payment. As it is the most common additional expense for jurors, and the only one that's different from person to person, it is important to discuss how we calculate the right distance and amount so each juror gets what they're entitled to without wasting a lot of time and energy in your jury operation. There are three typical ways various commercial jury management systems use to calculate the mileage of any particular juror. If you're evaluating jury systems, it's important to understand what method each system uses and what fits your business process best. Some systems require you to ask the juror directly how far they have had to travel, and then you have to enter it into the jury system. Given the time requirements and the difficulties validating the distance provided by each juror, this is obviously the least desirable way to handle this task. Plus, technology has come a long way, making this method entirely unnecessary. That leaves us two options left that we need to discuss in a little more detail. And the reason I want to go into these two is because one is far better than the other. I'm talking about the use of Google Maps against the traditional programming way of using geocoding. And if we look at both of these options in detail and how they calculate mileage, you'll see that Google Maps is really the way to go. Let's look at geocoding first. Geocoding uses the latitude and longitude of the center of two zip codes and the distance between them in a straight line. This means that it determines mileage based on the distance between the zip code of a juror's address and the zip code of the court's address as the crow flies. Google Maps, however, calculates mileage based on the driving distance between the juror's address and the court's address, taking into account roadways, bridges, and bodies of water as part of its calculation. Right away, we can see a considerable difference between the two options, but there are other issues as well. When geocoding calculates mileage, two main problems arise that Google Maps overcomes automatically. The first is the use of zip codes. Although necessary for sending a letter in the mail, using them for mileage calculation causes problems. This is because every zip code has a different geographical size. In a major city with a large population, this is less of an issue. But the smaller the population of an area, the larger the zip code becomes. This is problematic because geocoding for mileage uses the center of each zip code in its calculation. So if the juror or the court are not located in the center of the zip code, your calculation will be incorrect. This will result in either paying the juror too little or too much, because in most cases, the addresses used in calculating mileage are not in the center of each zip code. Worse yet, if the juror lives in the same zip code as the court, the juror mileage for each juror would be zero. Obviously, this is not desirable. Second issue with geocoding compared to Google Maps is that it calculates the distance as the crow flies. This means a straight line from one zip code to another. It does not take into account bridges, highways, or bodies of water as a crow can fly over them. Unfortunately, jurors do not fly like crows do. They need to drive over and around bodies of water. They need to follow roads to get to the court from their house. And obviously, this changes the distance a juror has to travel considerably. So whether it's because you don't live in the center of a zip code or you can't fly like a crow, using geocoding to calculate your mileage will ultimately be incorrect. And before, this wouldn't really matter because most jurors would either not see the discrepancy or not know the exact mileage that they had to travel. But with advances in technology, this has changed. For example, in Courthouse JMS, we also integrate with the various other features of Google Maps. So you can also calculate mileage for alternate routes, walking, cycling, or even public transit. This is why Google Maps is the best choice for calculating mileage. When a juror goes home and wants to check the distance they traveled, the first place they will go is Google Maps. If you are using geocoding and the juror gets their payment and checks their mileage with Google Maps, they will notice this discrepancy. You will get a phone call. Additional work will be coming your way. You might even have to reissue another check and make changes in the jury system. This is the opposite of efficiency and obviously not what we're looking for. Instead, if you use the same tool and calculations that the juror used, then you will have far less people calling the jury office complaining about how much they were paid for mileage. Your mileage calculation will match their mileage calculation, and everyone goes home happy. The last piece of the puzzle is to have Google Maps fully integrated with your jury system to not only make mileage calculation more accurate, but also a one-step process. This is something that comes standard with Courthouse JMS. So if your jury operation requires mileage calculation, or you're stuck with geocoding, then you can check out betterjurymanagement.com or give us a call and we can show you exactly how Google Maps integration will work for you. Until next time, this is John from CHT. Talk to you soon.